Evading a dog tracking team is one of the most common questions that gets asked here on the channel as well as out through the rest of the internet. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 pieces of information that you need to have on the front end before you step out. First thing that we need to know and understand is that the most common answer to how to evade a dog team is by using black pepper. Now, I'm going to eradicate this as a myth right out the gate for 2 reasons. Number 1, there is not a single person who advocates that part of your EDC kit in your back pocket, for example, is a tub of black pepper. Not a single one. So it sounds all well and good. We'll just throw some pepper on the trail. But it's stupid. It's dumb, and I'm gonna leave it at that, because I'm gonna start losing my mind. The second thing that we need to know is that a dog receives, on average, 600 hours of training before they were put into the field. These dogs are well trained, and with that dog, who doesn't work alone, is a tracker who is also trained, proficient, and should be certified. You put these 2 tools together and you have a formidable foe who is hot on your trail, and they know what they're doing, they know what they're looking for, and you're not going to be able to use simple tricks or techniques in order to be able to evade them. So, that being said, there are a couple things, additional things that we need to know and have in our kit bag and operate with. The first one is time. So what do I mean by this? So if you go and you review a newspaper article or any after-action review or publication from search and rescue organizations, we'll look specifically at lost hikers. When dog teams have been called in, what was the time from the point last seen, and somebody calls this in, until a dog team arrives? And what happened in between? Most of the time, let's go with what happens in between. Good-intentioned friends, family members arrive to the campsite, they arrive to the vehicle on the side of the road, and they start conducting a hasty search. They're untrained, they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they're looking for, they're just trying to find their loved one, right? And then maybe you have some trained search and rescue personnel who arrive on scene, and they also begin to conduct a hasty search. But what happens in and through all of this is that the entire scene is contaminated. You have prints, you have stains, and you have scent that is left everywhere. Now add a couple extra hours before this dog team arrives on. They arrive and they just can't go straight to work. They have to try to cut through the mess that everybody else has left behind for them to be able to work through. So you could have upwards of 2 to 6 hours to your advantage to be able to conduct the rest of your evasion operation, okay? So time is huge. It's a huge benefit because it's going to enable us to do a couple of things in the future. The second thing that we need to know is that there is speed in security, or that there is security in speed, right? So speed is your friend. You know, dogs are animals just like we are, and they get tired. So the more worn down a dog is, the less effective it is going to be, okay? That dog needs food, it needs water, and it needs breaks. A dog, just like a human, cannot sustain operations for longer than it can efficiently. Does that make sense? So if you have the opportunity, it's fine to run down a well-used path for half a mile, 2 miles, whatever the case is. Every situation, every location is going to be a little bit different. You know, as you're doing this, you are leaving more ground sign for that man tracker to be able to follow you. And you're certainly not leaving any less scent for the dogs. But you're increasing, your speed is increasing that distance that you have. And that distance is the third thing. So in conjunction with the time that it's taken us to be able to begin our evasion operation and the speed that we've been working, now I have a little bit of distance that I can operate with. And once I have this time and space in between myself and that tracking team, now I can begin to deploy some anti-tracking measures. So whether it's using dog legs, whether it's using simple things like slip in the stream, whether it's backtracking a little bit, which is not necessarily an attempt to fool the man tracker, but it can be an attempt to slow down that dog and that working team, right? You can work out in a clover leaf or figure 8 pattern where you'll come up and then come back down and then come back up over and come back down, and you work out in different patterns out through this wilderness, and it's going to help slow down them even more. It's not going to prevent a well-trained tracking team from finding you, because everything you're doing is leaving sign, and a good tracker is going to be able to cut through that. All you're trying to do is get enough time and space between y'all so that you can remember that a dog team, if it works out, 6 hours out in these woods, it's probably not going to be able to operate overnight. Neither is that man tracker, because most of the time these dog teams are not carrying sustainment loads to be able to work and stay off bush, off into the trail, right? Those dogs need to drink water. Again, they need to eat food, and so does that dude who's assisting this dog. And so the further you can draw them away from their point of sustainment, the more likely they may have to return. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because as we know, there is not places that are so remote that you couldn't just pick up from here and work around somewhere else, right? The dog team couldn't just pick up from here and work around a different road and try to cut back in, right? But you use this to your advantage, and now you have some terrain. You got some hills that are going to wear dogs out just like they wear you out. But if you have the intestinal fortitude and if you have the fitness, you can use these terrain features to your advantage. But you have to be able to have that fitness and be able to suck it up and keep driving on. You can, cross and use creek beds and things of this nature, but again, you try to slip the stream, you may slow them down a little bit, but it's not 100% effective. All that being said, if you go back and relook at all these news articles, you're going to find countless times where dog teams were ineffective. They did not and could not find the person or the individuals that they were looking for. Happens all the time, especially in search and rescue operations, right? I'm talking about just trying to pull up on scene and find a convict. Talking about something that dog team, it took them maybe even 2 days before they could arrive on scene. And so it's just one more checkbox that everybody's going through to say that they have done and are doing everything that they can do. So you add, 2 days for this guy out in the woods, and there's no chance anybody's going to find me. So take that all for what it is. A couple of little disclaimers on the front end, and a few pieces of information that we can have moving out through. Again, team, this is not designed to sit here and tell you how to defeat these teams, because a good tracking team is going to be near to impossible, because not only can they follow sign and scent and that spoor that's left, but that guy, that tracker, can deduce where you may be going to begin with. And so you put these two things together, and now you have a trouble spot. The best thing to do on the front end is don't get yourself put in a position where a dog team is tracking you. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and we'll continue to keep this conversation rolling. As always, until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked. More men now than ever before are suffering from an outbreak that scientists now call low M. You and your compadres have already been exposed to this deadly and viral disease. But there is a cure. For your family, for our nation, we need you to take this now as quickly as possible to reverse the damages before it's too late. The Tears of Akami are a proprietary blend of clinically proven set of virtues, values, and beliefs, guaranteed to get you stoked and return balance to your masculinity. Discover more today at youtube.com/Stokermatic. Team, if you want to master your craft and develop your tactical virtue, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on future content. Consider becoming a channel member. It's going to give you exclusive access to content not available to anybody else. I appreciate you guys. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.